In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to update the backup images in your GAP files prior to supplying your HTML5 banners to your media agency for trafficking. In this first section, I'll explain how to use Photoshop to make the updates, and in the second section, I will explain how to export the new image from Photoshop to update the GAP files. If you're a graphic designer, I would recommend skipping to the second section after the introduction, but if you're new or unfamiliar with Photoshop, I recommend you follow along all the way through. A couple of quick disclaimers. I'm assuming that you've already watched the intro to the GAP program and the short explanation of what's included in your GAP files video. If you haven't had a chance to watch them yet, there are links for those videos in the description below, or you can find them on the GAP program website. It is important that you've made all the necessary updates and changes to your HTML5 banners before creating your backup images. If you update the backup images but continue to make changes to the text or images in the HTML5 banners, there's a chance you will need to go back and update the backup images again. So please be sure that your HTML5 banners are 100% signed off prior to creating your backup images. Before we begin, let's remind ourselves what backup images are and why they are necessary to provide with any HTML5 banner. Backup images are a static picture, normally a JPEG, of the final frame of the HTML5 banner animation, and they do exactly what it says on the tin. They are a backup, or a plan B for instances where the website would not be able to serve your HTML5 banners. For example, if a user is using a version of Internet Explorer that is several years out of date, that browser might not have the appropriate updates installed to display your ad properly. In those cases, the ad server will recognize that the end user does not meet our necessary criteria for viewing an HTML5 animated banner ad and will serve the backup image instead. Although there are no metrics that indicate how often backup images are served instead of animated HTML5 banners, if your HTML5 banners are coded properly and a reasonable small file size, as GAP HTML5 banners are, ad servers will most likely serve the animated version of your banner in the vast majority of instances. Even if the backup image is not served very often, though, media agencies do not accept HTML5 banners without them. So ensuring your backup images match the language, product, etc. of your animated banners is an important step in delivering your banners to your media agency. To update the backup images in your GAP files, all you will need is access to the updated Photoshop files that you've been using to make the updates to your HTML5 banners. Let's get started. Step 1. Find the updated HTML5 PSD designs. These designs should already have the correct languages and images for your market. If you have not yet updated the text or the images, please complete those tutorials first. Please see them in the link below or on our website. Step 2. Double-click on the PSD file and that should open in Photoshop. If you have the appropriate fonts installed, you should be able to open the PSD normally. If not, you will receive a warning describing what fonts you're missing. Since you're not updating any text at this stage, these warnings can be ignored. If you would like to update the text and you want more direction on how to install fonts, please see our tutorial on updating text files. Step 3. Make sure the selection tool is selected in the toolbar. Step 4. As always, you will see the artboards with each banner frame, and inside those artboards, you will find the assets within that frame. At this stage, it's important to remember that pixel sizes of the designs are double the size of the HTML5 banners. So for example, the design labeled 300 by 600 might actually be 600 by 1200 pixels. This is called retina designs and is an important feature in creating high resolution designs in HTML5. However, the backup images should never be supplied at retina size. that is for a 300 by 600 banner, the backup image should also be 300 by 600 pixels and not 600 by 1200 pixels, which is the retina size. We will show you how to reduce the size of the exported JPEG in the export section, so no need to make any adjustments to the artboards at this stage. Step 5. Locate the final frame of your first banner and select that folder. Make sure that no extra assets from the other frames are visible at this stage. The M frame in the design should exactly match the M frame that displays in your HTML5 banner. Step 6. Repeat steps 4 to 5 for all the other banners. Let's move on to exporting your backup images. It is important to note that most ad servers require the backup image to be 40 kilobytes or less, which means you might find some pixelation on the image when exporting your backups. Luckily, as we discussed in the introduction, your HTML5 banners are coded properly, so it is unlikely that your backup image will be served very often at all. However, we will show you some tricks we use to compress the file size of our backup images without losing too much quality during the tutorial below. Step 1. Find the backup images folder in your GAP package files. There's no need to delete or duplicate these backup files, as we will be saving over them in this process. Step 2. Once you've decided which banner you would like to start with, go back to the PSD file for this size and once again check that the M frame is the only frame displaying. Step 3. Open the Save for Web window. This can be done by clicking on File and then scrolling down to Export and then Save for Web. Step 4. Then make sure you set the image to the final size of the banner. You can do this by updating the image size using the tools here. You can do this by setting the pixel values or by just generally setting the percentage to 50%. Step 5. Then make sure to select the JPEG format from the drop-down menu. Then drag the quality slider so that the image file size will be under 40 kilobytes. You can see the final export size in the bottom left-hand corner. Step 6. Then just hit Save and navigate to the backup image you want to update and replace it. And then step 7. Simply repeat steps 2 to 6 to go through and update every single backup image for all the banner sizes. Again, just a quick reminder that HTML5 banners need to be properly packaged before providing them to your media agency for trafficking. Tutorials on how to package your HTML5 animated banners are in the links below or on our website.